Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. In this video I'll be replacing the lower shock rubbers in this VS Commodore Ute. So when the car's bumping around on the road, this is what it's supposed to look like. Now this side is how it should not look. So we'll be replacing the little rubber at the bottom of the shock. So now we jack up the car to get better access. Okay, since we're jacking up the back of the car, the handbrake isn't going to stop the car from moving. So we need to find something to put under the front wheels to stop the car rolling forwards. Okay, now we know the car won't roll forwards, we can jack up the back. Now remember, when working under a car, you never rely on just the jack alone. That's why we use axle stands as well. Okay, now I've got the axle stands in place, I can slowly lower the jack and it should be safe. Now, just as an extra safety precaution, I'll have the jack just under the diff. In case something fails, we can also use the jack as a backup. We want to be as safe as possible when working under cars. Okay, now the car's jacked up, we can undo this nut. You need to pay attention to which way these come off. If you forget, that's fine, that's what the video is for. And now this simply just pulls off. But before we go any further, there's another step we have to do. Okay, now that the bottom of the shock has been done, we can do the top. And the way we do that is through these little bumps here. Under these is the top of our shocks. So we have to take it off to get access. Since these don't get taken off very often, it's not uncommon for them to be stuck, so you'll have to pry them off with something. And there it is. That is the top of our shock. So before I even bother trying to loosen that, I'm going to use some WD-40 just to loosen it up. Okay, so this nut here is a 17mm, but when you're undoing it, you'll find this little part here will turn as well. See, it's starting to spin now. Since that's starting to spin, now I'll put the shifter on to stop that from happening. Now we take the nut off and this rubber, then the shock can pull out from the bottom. Again, pay attention to the order and direction these came off. If you don't remember, that's fine, just watch the video. Okay, now the shock will pull straight out. So that's very worn out and old, so we have to replace it. But we have to pull this old rubber out first. Just kidding. So here's the old one and here's the new one. Do you see why now it needs to be replaced? Now, this is probably the hardest part of the video, putting this new rubber in the bottom of the shock. It's an incredibly tight fit, so I'll be using a vise to help me. Okay, so I've cleaned out the center. Now the way I plan on doing it is by lining up the two and just squishing them together with the vise, and adding a little bit of lube to help it slide in. Okay, so at this point it'll look like it's being squished and damaged. That's okay, it can handle it. And just like that, there's a new rubber in. Now we can put this back in the car. Okay, now the shock can go back in. So what we do is put this bottom part on. It'll slide straight back on. Just like that. Now this little washer goes on. Then the nut. Now you may realise the top of the shock doesn't reach the hole. That's because the shock has been compressed due to me handling it. All you have to do is grab it and push up and it'll reach. And there's the top of our shock. So remember, it was the rubber, then the washer, followed by the nut. Now it gets tightened back up. Okay, I can't tighten that up anymore. Now that's nice and tight, we can put the cover back on. Now all you have to do is the exact same process for the other side. And with the power of editing, now if I give the car a shake, that one's not moving around, and neither is this one. It's done. Okay, now that's all done, we can drop the car down. And with the power of editing, it's back on the ground. And just like that, those rubbers have been replaced. I hope you enjoyed my video and learned something new. Please consider liking and subscribing.